Hey, how's everyone doing? This is Oz with Oz Mechanics Podcast. The rice and beans, right?
Yeah, rice and beans.
Or beans and rice.
I don't know. It's one of those.
Okay, rice and beans, beans and rice. One of those. We are on episode number 8, and holy smokes, dude! I can't believe that we have this one person right here. I'm not gonna say the name right now. I'm probably not gonna say it for like 30 minutes into the episode. But man, this was amazing. She said yes, and I was like, holy smokes! All right, cool. Well, how much do we have to pay her? I don't know, but we I'm excited to start this. Baby, can you say who's gonna be our guest?
All right. Our special guest for today is Faye Hadley. Hi, Faye. How are
Yay!
you?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys.
Faye, are you still working?
Yes, I am still working. See, everyone thinks it's like just this amazing thing to be self-employed. People ask me to hang out all the time. It's like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Yeah, you're your own boss, right? So you can just ask for time off. No, it means like the day starts right when the last day like ends. There's really no time off. So
Yeah.
no,
So-
I'll be here for a while.
Do you have your own shop?
Yeah.
Oh,
I do.
okay. Nice. I wasn't sure if you worked for a company or if you were on your own.
Yeah, I've definitely missed working with other people. Now, hiring other people is one thing. I don't like managing people. I don't like being a boss to other people, and I also don't trust anyone else. I have not yet like met another person like looking for a job that I'm just like, oh, I would trust that person to do like
Yeah.
my level of work and like be able to sign off on it and
Yeah.
be able to trust that they're not going to mess anything up.
Oz has
So-
also had that same issue. He's been in business for over 10 years.
11 years now.
Oh, 11 years now.
2013. That's when I
Wow.
started, and I still
Yeah.
can't
Oh,
trust
wow.
anyone. I still cannot trust anyone.
I mean, we're getting to the point where we're finally starting to trust one person. now.
yeah, I hired you. That's the thing. So for sure, I gotta trust you.
Yeah, but I'd love help every now and then with like some stuff. Like I've got to do actually I have 2 transmission swaps coming up in the relatively near future. I don't have a transmission jack, so I need to buy one. But that's like an example of when I would love to have like another person around. But I'm also like very solitary. I'm not really chitty chatty. I do not like small talk. Like
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
will work alone, all like no music, no podcast, no nothing. I'll just be in the zone by myself. I don't want to have to like make conversation with somebody. So like nothing. But then also at the same time, like I would love to go back to like another shop and work with like a bunch of other people. I feel like when I have other people with their knowledge and like that I can bounce ideas off of, I feel like I'm more free to like sort of fly or like try new things,
Yeah.
Whereas when I'm by myself all the time and I don't really have anyone else to bounce ideas off of, all I hear is like a bunch of negative stuff about my skills, my knowledge, and my appearance from people on the internet all day long. So I sort of sit here and I'm like,
Oh, we
man,
love the good old
can I
internet.
even do this job? Oh yeah, it's lovely.
Good old internet
So that's
trolls.
most of the human interaction that I have most of the day. It's just like, oh, let me see. Did people like that video? Oh, they all hated it. Okay, cool. Well, how am I going to fix this thing? So yeah, I would love to. I would love. I've honestly thought recently about like how nice it would be to go back to the dealership, which I loved. I had a great dealership experience, and how amazing it would be to be able to clock in, and that's when my day started, and
Yeah.
then clock out and have someone else tell me what to do all day long. So I don't have to like worry about scheduling my day to like the most productive workflow. I don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm too busy to take a lunch. I don't have to worry about calling the customer, ordering parts, worrying about budget.
Yeah.
I fantasized about that. And I really think that the only thing holding me back from doing that most days that I'm just like, that would be the greatest escape ever is just other people.
Yeah.
And how they would perceive me, it's like I've sort of like backed myself into a corner where I feel like I don't have permission to be human or to fail.
Yeah.
And so while I'm not like, I dare anyone to outwork me, bring it on, bring it on. And I'm not afraid of like a new challenge or anything like that. But what I am afraid of is like being thrown into a shop with like a bunch of people that are just going to like sit there and judge me and just like wait for me to fail, And I feel like that's just what I expect because that's what I get on the internet every single day of my life. So I have my own shop.
Nice. Yeah. So, but
It's great, you know.
And how do you get your clients? Is it just your regular
Word of mouth.
clientele? Word of mouth. Okay, cool.
Absolutely. More for my safety. I used to advertise online. I was in the San Antonio News, and like I was on local TV, and I thought that was great. I got a bunch of customers that way. That when I was mobile, I would show up to their house. They wouldn't have money. They wouldn't have a car. They just wanted like to talk to me. And I'm like, all right, what a waste of my time. It was awful. I had more of those whenever I would like try to advertise than I would have like actual paying customers. What a waste of my time. And plus I'm like driving to all these people's houses, you know, alone. Of course, we live in Texas, so yeah, I'm alone, but protected.
Show up with your revolver. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, close. So yeah, so it would be like only word of mouth, and you know, after a while, like some creepy, I had some creepy situations, and so I'm like, you know what,
imagine.
This was even before TV, so I was like, you know what, I'm only gonna do work for women, because
I feel that
like a few like bad apples spoil the bunch or whatever, and then I like had some like, I was advertising once again online, and I had like some weird like men's rights activist group like try to sue me for not doing work. So I'm just like, you know what?
Oh my
Screw everybody. Screw everybody. All right. So then I just and then at that point I stopped being mobile, and I rented a shop, or I rented like a bay out of a DIY garage where there was like other people working. So I was like, I'm kind of safe here. Kind of safe here. And my first customer in that shop, I was so excited. It was like this lawyer guy, lesson learned, who had given his Sequoia to his daughter, and she like never changed the oil and blew up the engine. And I just like needed an engine swap. I was like, oh, this is great. This is like, you know, this is going to be, you know, a lot of hours, you know, so this will pay the bills.
Yeah.
And it was the first year that I was actually doing all girls garage, and he like followed me on social media, and he watched me. And after I finished the job, I had like flown out to Florida where I filmed, and he came and lied to someone else that he paid the bill. They gave him the keys, and he ran with his vehicle and never paid me.
What?
And so I was out for the money for the new engine.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, all right, this is great. This is amazing. And then a month later, someone broke in and like stole all my welders, and I just barely replaced them like a year ago.
Wow.
So that was rough. And then I would also, since it was like public property, people would come and they would like set up lawn chairs and like bring coolers and stuff, and they would just like camp out and watch me work. It's like, that's weird. They're like,
weird.
can you guys like leave? It's like, it's public property. And I like called the cops, and it's like, we technically can't make them leave because it's like public property. I was like, oh, okay. So yes, now I have a private location that is heavily guarded in the back on an unnamed private road, and no one knows where I am. And they have to like drive by a bunch of shops and like my landlord to get here. And I don't disclose my location. People try to find it out all the time online. People love to try to dox me.
Faye, actually a friend of mine, and he has like 160,000 subscribers, 170, something like that.
Yeah.
Dude, he calls me one day, and he's like, my wife is at the house right now, and there's someone outside waiting out there asking for my friend.
His house address.
His house address, yeah. So they I don't know, they use like an AI thing or whatever, and they find little stuff on.
He would film at his like house in the garage.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have too. Yeah. Yeah, and like, and then you claim, like, I claim part of my house and my shop as business property. It's like, I don't know if you've ever like watched my older stuff, like my little purple shop. That's like on my personal, like, that's my garage, my first house. It's so cute. I love it. But people like would show up, and they would dox me. They would like find my actual address and show up, and then they would insult me. They're like, oh geez, this is where you live, homie. It's all I can afford. Okay. People think I have like this magic TV money. Ha! I would love to have it. But, like, they don't pay me royalties. They are playing that stuff over and over and over and over again. And meanwhile, I get a flat rate fee for that. And
Yeah.
sometimes
Dang.
the flat rate labor for those jobs would have paid me more.
Oh, wow.
With the certification levels that I have. So it's like people have all these like fake ideas in their mind of like what my life is like, and then they transpose that onto my avatar. And somehow I'm supposed to be like the most amazing, flawless, never does anything wrong, like perfect skin, perfect life, rich, got all the stuff. And in reality, I live next to a trailer park, and my house is like really old and like kind of falling apart. And it's like very small. It's very small. And, I work all the time, so I don't work on it. It's like my lawn is all overgrown. It looks like crap. And there's a bunch of cars parked out front. I mean, it's like, I'm a real person. I'm a real person. I brought it up on myself. I'm very proud.
Yeah.
But I'm actually trying to sell it and move so that people don't know where I live. And then I can like put my house like under like a business name that has nothing to do with anything of mine. It's not Pistons and Pixie Dust. It's like, no, you can't. It's like the business can own my house and then no one can find me. It's annoying. It's annoying. It's annoying when your Amazon driver shows up with the package and like you're so excited. You're like, oh, good, my battery terminal ends. I needed these right now, and my vacuum hose. And I'm all excited. Oh, thank the guy. Thank you so much. And it's like, oh, you're Faye Hadley. Is this your house? Like, I'm proud of it. Yes,
you should be.
My house.
Yes, you should be.
What the heck, man?
Wow.
Why do these people like judge? It's like these people when they judge these NFL players and like, man, or the boxer, man, they suck. And I'm like, dude, you wouldn't even last like, yeah, you do it. Come on, you try it. Oh, I always tell everyone, if you enjoy someone or you like respect them so much or you admire them, is like, give them their space.
Yeah.
You know, don't make them feel weird. Like, why? If you admire someone so much, like, just if anything, hey, hi, just acknowledge them, and that's it.
Yeah,
I just
or
don't
just like
get
say something nice. Like, I've seen like people out in restaurants and stuff like that, and they'll just like casually come by and say, "Love your YouTube channel," or like, "Love your show." And I'm like, thanks. Like, they don't disrupt. But then there's times like, people want to have like full on like take selfies and like take video of me while I'm like trying to grocery shop.
Yeah.
I'm like, homie, I gotta get back to the shop. I don't have time for this. All right. And then it's like I never leave the house without like, a full face. I'm like, what if someone sees me and wants a picture? Heaven forbid I have pimples or something,
I literally was on my way home today and I told my husband, I was like, I just have to put a little bit of makeup on. He's like, you look fine. Why do you need to put makeup on? And I was like, look, if my video blows up for some reason, I need to make sure I'm put together.
And look at me right now. I'm like,
because there's going to be somebody out there that's going to screenshot it and zoom in and be like, look, she has flaws, she has wrinkles, she has acne or whatever. I mean, my skin's not actually that bad, but like the internet makes me feel like it's the worst skin on earth. Heaven forbid I get grease, I get sweaty. I don't have climate control in here, Like it's in Texas, like we're sweating, it's been 70s,
Yeah.
So
luckily,
no, me too. It's okay. That's why.
I have a hole in my shirt. I didn't even realize that.
Oh, that's all right. That's okay. So, heaven forbid you're human. Heaven forbid you're human.
Oh, people are gonna talk mess up. Oh, Oz, come on, that's a $10 shirt. Why would you do that? Come on, buy a new one. Oh my.
Yeah, but then the same people are gonna like criticize you for like throwing it out and being wasteful.
No, for sure.
Like, you can't do anything right. You can't do anything right by that. That's a great shirt.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic shirt.
Man, we started off with a bang.
I know.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, that was great.
What else do you want to talk about today?
Well, we do want to dive in. I know I have talked to you, I think twice now, and have done small interviews, which I appreciate you taking your time out for us.
Heck yeah, at SEMA.
Yeah. So now we finally got the chance to get you on our podcast, and our podcast is fairly new. We have 8 episodes. Well, this will be our 8th episode. Mm-hmm. I don't think we actually like told you, but like what we technically talk about, which is kind of going on the lines of what we already started talking about, is just kind of like running a business, because I think a lot of people have this misconception, and we get it all the time. I'm sure you've heard it, where it's like, oh, it must be nice to be going here. Oh, it must be nice to have so much free time and be your own boss. yes, it has its pros, but there's a lot of cons that come with it too. Like I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult it is. So this is what we set up this channel for. It's to kind of bring people who are in the same situation and just to kind of share their experiences as well as,
or want to be a part of it too.
Yeah. Or yeah, exactly. Or like, even like if the people we want to target is like people maybe who want to run a business. And most of the people that have been on our channel have been automotive figures, just because Oz is in the automotive industry. So it's, but we are interested in other businesses as well. But it's great that we got you on our channel. And what we really want to know is kind of a little bit about you and how you got to where you're at now and what got you into the automotive industry.
But you started, first of all, so we did a deep dive in this. You went to Harvard, right?
Yeah, I did.
Did they have an automotive class over there for
No, and I was very disappointed. I was extremely disappointed. But yeah, oh gosh, I wish I had like good advice for like the business side of things. I suppose we can circle back to that, and I'll come up with something. But really, I think that for most people like trying to work for themselves, it is like a certain type of personality type, and it's not for everybody.
Absolutely.
It's not for everybody. Some people love like a set schedule and a set like checklist where they can like check off those boxes and look back and know they've done like a good job at the end of the day. And I definitely feel that way like when I'm doing projects with cars. Custom builds, so I have two lifts you can't really see. I've got like a long-term lift, and it's like a teeny little shop. Ready? Judge me for my shitty little shop now. I've got like two, and this is my office, by the way. This Japanese high ace camper.
Oh, okay.
It's sick. It's diesel, 4x4,
cool.
5-speed, right hand drive though. I have a hard time driving it, but anyway, but I got air conditioning in there.
Nice.
But I got two lifts. So I got the short term projects right by the door, then long term projects that are like a lot of customs. Like, ugh. Some days I feel like I've worked all day and I haven't gone anywhere because I've just like figured things out, like taking measurements, trying to like, how do I spend the customer's money? Like that sort of stuff is really hard. But I guess mechanics, it's like, a lot of times at the end of the day, you can feel really good about what you've done because you can like actually see the end result. But there's a lot of running a business that is like not the fun stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I just want to like, I just want to do like the fun things and like play with like the cars and stuff. I don't want to answer emails. I don't want to like price quote a whole bunch of parts. There's so much that you're probably taking your bosses for granted, people. You're probably taking them for granted. You think I could do their job better. And then you get in there and you're like, oh crap. There's a lot. But then also like being a self-starter, being self-motivated. I think that we all have like that inertia that we have to like sort of overcome to get moving. My dad's a chemist. So he was like, he was describing how, he's crazy. He was like describing how like some people have like barriers to entry, like barriers to like get going. He was always saying like, Faye, you can't look at other people and judge them because you require no catalyst to get going. You just wake up and you're going. But some people need like a catalyst to overcome that inertia, whether that's a start time at 8 a.m. or whether that's a boss telling them, you got to do this. I just wake up and I'm like, all right, like we're just getting at it.
That is
getting at it. And that's why you're probably like a good business. Well, you've obviously been successful for like over a decade. Mm-hmm. So that's amazing. Most small businesses don't make it past 5 years. Mm-hmm. Something like that. So I'm just going to say like, it's not for every personality type. Yeah. I guess that's the only thing that I can say. Aside from that, I'm incredibly disorganized. Half the time I wake up, I'm like, what the hell am I doing with my life? It's a challenge. And then trying to throw in being a YouTuber in there. My God, what the hell am I doing? I don't even know. I'm so lost. I have no good advice. But in terms of how I got started, I don't know. I don't know where I came from. I have no handy people. Like I have no tradespeople in my family at all. I come from a family of intellectuals. My mom is a writer, freelance writer and artist. She has been my whole life. Yeah, she's a badass. And my dad has his PhD from MIT in chemistry, and he's always done weird things with chemistry, and that sort of thing. Okay. And then my sister, my sister and my brother-in-law are both like writers. My sister works at a college as well. And my little brother's an eye doctor. So like I've got a bunch of smart people in the family.
Wow.
But I came out of the womb loving cars. I'm not really, I can't even tell you why. Loved the idea of like freedom, autonomy, mobility, going fast. Had a go-kart as a kid. I just freaking adored.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I knew I wanted to, if not work on fast cars, have fast cars and have a lot of cars and drive a lot of cars. As like a young kid, that was like a goal. But I don't think my family ever really took me seriously until like much later in life when I was actively trying not to go to college. It's like, I do not want to go to college. I told my mom that I wanted to work in the trade. I wanted to work on cars. And that the family was not stoked on that. They were not stoked on that plan. They were like determined that I was going to go to college. And that's like, also my parents were very strict. They were very, very hard on all of us, sort of thing where like I'd bring home a report card and it'd be like all A's and like a B plus, you know, and instead of being like, whoa, Faye, look, you got an A plus in math or whatever, you know, I guess we won't talk about math because like apparently my math sucks on the internet. I got an A plus in science and I got an A plus in they'd be like, oh, let's talk about that B plus, Faye. What can we do? What can we do to get that B plus into an A? I'm just like, man, look at all those A's. Like, am I gonna get congratulated or something? No. What can we do what can we do to raise that B plus and get that to an A? So very strict parents. So like, obviously I did well in school, very well in school. I got straight A's and most of the time. And so like, also like my guidance counselors, like no one ever said to me like, oh, wow, Faye, you play a lot of sports. You're physically fit. You're very active. You're a hands-on learner. You're great in math and science. You'd be perfect for the trades. No one ever said that to me. You know, what I got was, oh, you got straight A's, down for college. You know, that's sort of all I heard. That's like all the advice and all the guidance that I got, like growing up from both my family and then all the adults in my life. And then I never had anyone model that behavior. I never had anyone. In fact, like I remember the family mechanic growing up was like some guy that hated it. I mean, he was good at it, but he hated it. He just fell into it and said he wasn't smart enough to do anything else. He just did what his dad did. It's like, so that was what, you know, that was like the typical grease monkey you picture, like old school fella that, you know, doesn't make a good living and doesn't charge appropriately for what he does. And also is like afraid of computers, you know, like that is, it's like that old school mechanic that we like, that are sort of like seared into the minds of our parents' generation. And you know, don't really exist anymore. You can't really get too far being that guy anymore in the industry. I mean, you know, you do programming, like you are like basically a computer engineer, software engineer over there with what you've got to do with you know, with your gig on cars. So yeah, so anyway, they shot that idea down and I was like, well, fine, I'll better come up with an alternative. So I'm like, well, I'm going to be a farmer. Well, you don't have to go to college to be a farmer either. So that one was turned down. And I was like, well, then I'll be a truck driver. Yeah, you'd think, right? I know. Well, I'd be like an 18. I was obsessed with the idea of 18-wheelers and like living in the cab of one, which is also why I always have like RVs and like things you can live in. That was also not okay. And then I was like, all right, well, I think according to my mom, I also said that then another alternate would be a medium. But you have to be born with special gifts to be a medium. And I was not born with those gifts, unfortunately. So I don't know. I went to college totally lost. I had no clue what I wanted to do. I changed my major a bunch of times. I took classes that interested me. Yeah. But really, like, I could have saved my money and not gone. Yeah. I could have saved like 6 years of my life that I was like trying to get a degree and just gotten into the trades. Like I knew I wanted to be there from the get-go, but I don't know. So I'm trying to change a paradigm. I'm trying. Yeah. That's why I put myself out there on the internet. You know, I'm trying to show people that it's like, it's fun. You have to be smart to do it. You don't have to look a certain way or be a certain way to do it. You know, trying to be the example that I wished that I had when I was 13, 14, 15, you know, someone that I could look up to.
How'd you get into the trade? Did you see like your next door neighbor just working on the car? You helped him out, or did you just go straight into the trade school? Like, how'd you get that?
I actually don't have a degree. I actually don't have a degree, so I can't take credit for. I mean, I've taken a lot of classes now, like as I've gotten older. But no, how it started actually was I got my first car, like everyone else. I started like modifying it, and I was actually a Volkswagen girl at first. So I loved my Volkswagens. I had a bunch of crappy ones and like tried to modify them myself. And then my dad actually had a couple rental properties, and one of his tenants worked on old like American muscle cars, Mopar stuff. And I would always go over to his garage, just like see what he was doing. I would help him out. He would like go to junkyards to get like, you know, all this treasure. And I would always go with him and just like help him out. And I would clean parts, and he sold them on eBay and stuff. And I helped him take pictures of parts. And I learned how to glass bead. And it was my first time seeing a sandblast cabinet. And I would like clean up all the parts and everything like that. So I like learned a lot about like parts I didn't really, you know, like I knew what a shaker hood was. I was like, you know, we actually made shaker hoods. It was amazing. So that was like my first intro to it. And that was like when I was in my late teens. But I had never like held a wrench or like really held a tool much. I mean, you know, my dad's like a professional level cyclist, and he doesn't even really work on his own bicycles. He like takes them into the shop, you know? So we're like, I don't know, sort of like a hands-off sort of family. And then it was actually after I got my first job as a therapist, because I got my degree in psychology, that I got like my first, I would say like unofficial, unpaid internship. And it was after I had tried to do like my first automotive thing myself, being like a little hippie kid. I was like, I'm going to save the world by running my car on waste vegetable oil. So I had a diesel Volkswagen Rabbit 1980. And the first automotive thing I like ever did was I tried to convert it to run on waste vegetable oil with like a dual tank system and like heater. I mean, it was, and I made my own biodiesel. It was an absolute mess. I clogged my injection pump. I destroyed my injectors. It was terrible. However, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. The car broke down all the time, and I eventually blew the engine. And I found like a local Volkswagen club, and I found like a local shop. And I just like, I would go there after work every single day. And the lead mechanic, Jesse, was like my first mentor. Jesse at Banchworks in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm not sure if it still exists, but he was my first mentor. Like such a brilliant guy, and he was so willing to like take me under his wing and like teach me and like give me basic skills in exchange for like I would organize shelves, I would sweep the floors, I would like clean the bathrooms, empty the oil change. Like I tried to make myself useful around the shop and like help out. But he wouldn't like do it for me. He like made me buy the manual. And then like before I came to him with a question about like my engine, he'd be like, well, what do you think? Like, what has your research showed you? Like, you know, it was very much like teach a man to fish sort of situation. And I fell in love with like just what I was doing in the shop. And it was the highlight of my life. I could not wait to like leave my therapist job, which I was very good at, by the way. And I made $75 an hour. Which is a lot.
Wow.
That's a lot in 2010. Okay.
Yeah.
It's more than the hourly rate I make now. So imagine going backwards from that, you know, especially with student loans.
I'm like, are they still hiring?
Yeah.
I'll go over there.
I know. And I was really good at it. Like my boss was like trying to like level me up in our little, I don't know, group of therapists, and she was like trying to like elevate me and then have like little minions underneath me, and she was so confused. She had no idea why I was quitting. But the reason why I quit was actually like it was after I'd gotten my degree and after I'd worked as a therapist for a year. And you know, it's like I have kind of like a rule with myself. It's like give anything a year. Because you might just have to like get over that initial hump of like being uncomfortable in a situation or like learning to like find your pace or just like, you know, you got to jive. Sometimes that takes a while. Yeah. So it'd been like after a year of working as a therapist, and my mom called me. She was like, "Are you happy?" You know? And I'm like, "Oh, like I think so." You know, I think so. And I was like trying to justify that I'm like happy in ways that were like successful. It's like, okay, well, you know, I'm making good money. I can afford my apartment. I'm paying off my loans. I have a job. Aren't you proud? And she was like, you know, Faye, every time that you talk to me about like the next thing that you've done on your Volkswagen Rabbit and how much you've learned and like a new tool that you bought and like how proud you are of like the skill that you acquired, she's like, you come alive. And, you know, you don't really have that with your current job. And, you know, maybe that's just like the professionalism that you show. But she was like, I want you to know that if you decide tomorrow that you no longer want to work in your field and you want to pursue your dream of becoming a mechanic, like you absolutely have my blessing. No one's going to take your school away from you. No one's going to take your degree away from you. You can always fall back on that. We're very proud that you stuck with it and you graduated, and you know that you're doing so well. And I graduated magna cum laude. Like I put effort in. Like I was not a slouch. I wasn't like, oh, I got to do this. You know, like I poured my heart and soul into it. But she like gave me permission. And it was a very emotional conversation. I bawled my eyes out and I gave my 2 weeks notice the next day. I'm like, I think, you know, I know I look like a little bit of a rebel, but like all I wanted was for my parents to like love me. You know, I wanted approval. I wanted to be loved. Don't we
that
all?
was what you needed.
Yeah, I needed it. So so my mom said she would, you know, that she would still, I had her blessing, and so I took it.
That's amazing.
And that was, so I got into like wrenching really late, very, very late. I do not have an automotive degree. I have taken some classes, but like, you know, imagine how much different my life would be right now if I was allowed to take shop class in high school, and if I was allowed to like pursue my dream right out the gate when everyone else is learning too. You know, like when I'm in my teens and it's okay to be an apprentice. Here I was like being an apprentice at like 25. You know, like buying my first set of tools at the Sears Father's Day tool sale in 2012. You know, I'm a way much a late bloomer. And then like adding on top of all of that, like, you know, just like putting myself out there on the internet, which was a huge mistake, I will say. Doing the TV shows, which were also massive, massive mistakes. And then you get to this point where like, you know, I've only been doing this for like 8 or 9 years. And like people think that I'm like, you know, this fucking goddess of automotive. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm a person. I'm learning. Wow. You know, I have a lot to learn every single day. I'm just like, shit, what am I doing?
Automotive, you know, is evolving. That's the thing too. It's evolving. It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's also because you're a woman. Everybody, I think when they correlate like a woman in the automotive world, it's just like, like, wow, that's crazy. Like it is. And I mean, you're literally like, what do they say? It's a man's world, but the automotive world, it seems like, is a very heavily male dominated field. So I think that's why people, when they see you, are like so impressed because they're just like, oh my God, look at her like kicking ass, you know?
That's why I want to have a girl. I really want to have a girl because I want them to kick butt. And I used to watch All Girls Garage. Like that was one of my shows back in the day. And I remember my wife she would be like, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "It's All Girls Garage." I just think they're kick-ass girls, man. They're freaking kicking ass. That was one of my favorite shows. I used to live off of Velocity and a bunch of car shows. What's in Velocity changed to what? Moto what? Motor Trend? Yeah, Motor Trend now. Yeah. So Velocity is not Motor Trend. But yeah, I used to watch all those shows, and yeah, that was my thing. And then she got into it when she started watching Anstead. That's one of her crushes, automotive crushes that she has. But
amazing. I've actually never watched any of the show. I did not know my show existed before I was asked to be on it. Yeah, I don't. My parents were very strict. We weren't really allowed to watch TV. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like it's something you learn. Like you learn the discipline to sit still and watch. And it's very hard for me to sit still. And if I feel like I'm not being productive, I start to feel like absolute shit. So I can't watch a movie. I don't watch other YouTubers. I don't listen to podcasts. I don't know. Like I have no idea what is happening in the world. Apparently we just had an election. I don't know. I didn't vote. I'm like, whew,
are you in the bunker right now? Or
I mean, I might as well be. Am I even in San Antonio?
But I was going to ask, so while you're working, you're always working on vehicles, right? Going through college and doing that's the same thing that I was going through. I went to college for criminal justice and criminology.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was two classes away from getting my bachelor's degree, 2 classes away. And I asked my brother, I was like, does it feel like this? Like once you're about to graduate, like, does it feel like, you know, I didn't feel like it was, I don't know. It just didn't feel right. I didn't feel accomplished or anything at that point. I
Yeah.
don't know. And he's just like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "You have 2 degrees. Like, how do you feel?" He's like, "I feel great." And I was like, "I just don't feel as accomplished." He's like, "Do you love what you're doing?" And I said, "Eh, "Yeah. Well, mom and dad, they want me to do this and go to school and get my degree." And it's like, "But what do you love?" And this, my brother, he's never like this, but he at that moment he was like helping me out, and he's like, I was like, "I always like working on cars." He's like, "So don't get your degree in criminology. Go back to your trade school." And I went, so I didn't finish, went back to trade school, took 1 semester, kicked ass. I was there from
Heck yeah.
8 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night until the janitor would kick me out. And then the next semester, my teacher was asking me, "Hey, what classes are you gonna take?" He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna open up a shop." He's like, "You're crazy." I said, "No, I'm gonna open up my shop." And I felt so confident and so excited about that. I didn't feel that when I was about to graduate with my bachelor's degree.
Yes.
This one was something I really wanted to do. And I feel like that's how you felt at that moment, where you're like, "This is
Oh,
what I want."
absolutely. I felt like my life was beginning.
Hmm.
Like I felt like I was finally able to just like start. And that's a scary thing to do. I think for a lot of people that have already like invested so much time and money and energy and effort into something else.
Yeah.
It's like they feel stuck then. It's like the same reason why people don't leave abusive relationships or psychology degree there. Or other situations like that where like you feel so invested, but it reminds me of a few things. There's like, I don't know, this spiritual guy. I don't really know much about him, honestly, but there's like some spiritual guy. His name's Bashar, and he always talks about like, if like in order to pursue like, in order to make sure that you're like pursuing your most like your soul's work, basically, you just like follow the thing that gives you the most excitement. Like always, like follow your joy, follow your excitement. It's like the thing that ignites that spark in you. So it sounds like you are following like your highest joy and like your soul's journey.
Hmm.
And then it reminded me of another thing in a book that I read that was just like, life should be effortless. And obviously it's not effortless because we're working our freaking asses off, right? But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
when you're doing what you love, it's like you're excited about it. It's like, even though you look back and you're just like, oh my God, like I sweated like a gallon of like sweat dripped off of me. I was working
Mhm.
so freaking hard. Like, I had a really difficult thing to figure out that was like so frustrating. But like at the end of the day, you're like, wow, that was amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When you're like in line with what you're meant to be doing.
Oh,
If
for
that makes
sure.
sense.
No,
Yeah.
I always tell everyone, do something that you enjoy, do something that you love. Think about it. You work 5 to 6 days out of the week. That's a lot of time.
I'm sorry. Only
Yeah,
5 or 6.
five,
Just
5 to 6, 5 to 6. No, but okay, 5 to 7. Okay, no, but imagine working so much and then doing something that you don't love. Like,
I know.
when people there's you meet people that say, "Oh, I can't wait for the weekend to get here," or "Damn, Monday's about to come up." Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Come on, dude, do something that you love.
I
Like, this is one life that you
Mhm.
get.
I know. It's like it like obviously starting your own business, and like I never know what my next month's paycheck is going to be. Can I afford my
Hmm.
mortgage? I don't know. Well, we're going to find out. But that's like, I don't know. That's a risk I'm willing to take for like a life well lived.
Hmm.
There's a guy in my free time. I have no free time, but I gotta work out the aggression somehow. Okay,
Hmm.
people, I gotta get all the negative comments from the internet out.
Mhm.
I gotta like work out my pent up anger. So I play hockey, and
Okay.
I play on 2 leagues, and then I coach a beginners league. There's a guy that I am just so fascinated by that is on my beginner league, and he's phenomenal. He's a great player. He's improved a lot. He takes direction well, but he's like about 15, 20 years older than me. And I
Hmm.
just asked him what he did. And he's like, I'm in sales. And he was just describing this job. And he was describing about how he's good at it, but he hates it so much. It makes him absolutely miserable. And he's like, but I make such good money. I can't leave. Nothing will ever be, so he was trying to fill that void of meaning with hockey. I'm like, all right. I mean, well, I'm glad you're here. Like, we need you on the team. This is phenomenal. But hockey's not going to give you meaning, homie. Like, like, are you doing good out in the world, or are you just selling security systems or something like that? I mean, that's doing some good. I have a security system in here. I need it. It protects me, keeps me safe. But but the fact that like his life had, like, he made so much money, but his life had no meaning, and he was miserable for like a minimum of 45 hours a week.
Yeah.
I'm like, and then he said he could not wait until like the next week rolled around so we could play hockey and he could have like fun. I'm like, I mean, I get it. Like, I love hockey so much. I play 3-4 times a week. Like, I need it. I get it. But I do not derive my meaning,
Yeah.
I derive meaning from like, facing new challenges and like overcoming them. And like, I don't know, like learning, like gaining things out of life, like building things, creating, sharing knowledge, sharing creation, sharing love of what I do. I don't know. I gain meaning for like a lot of spending time with my chickens. But yeah, like that's so you're right, to play it safe. And I'm just imagining that like probably hockey is the most dangerous thing this guy does in his entire life. Not like just from a physical standpoint, but like the most risky thing he does. His life is so safe. And I guarantee you that when he's 85, looking back on his life, he's going to be like, man, I wasted so much time just like selling security systems. I wish I had taken a risk. But, the money's good. He's comfortable. And he's stuck.
Well, I told that to my father-in-law one day. He was kind of in a rut. And I said, look, I don't want to sound too grim or anything like that. Is like, but I want you to fast forward, to your deathbed, or just like when you're old and frail and, you're in your deathbed. I want you to think about it and look back and say, did I live a meaningful life? Am I happy with where I'm at right like at that moment? But, try to fast forward. I said, would you be happy? And he's like, okay, we got to change this shit up. So he's just like, okay, this is where it needs to change.
Difficult topic.
Yeah, difficult topic. It's just sometimes life is too fast, man. And
no, but it's a good exercise though.
Yeah,
because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. And I don't know about y'all, but I've definitely had some close calls where I'm like, whoo, like a little, a little bit more that way, or a little bit more this way, or like a little bit of change over there, and I wouldn't be here anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, you sort of have to live like you don't know if tomorrow's going to come. Mm-hmm. And then like what, at your funeral, what would people say about you? What are the speeches people would give? I hope that they'd be good,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna be over there. I'm gonna be like, I used to watch Faye on the All Girls Garage. She's kick ass. I'm recording
really
this,
fun,
so we're gonna have a girl.
Yeah. That's really fun though. Is I had such a blast working with Bogey. If she wasn't all the way in Phoenix and was here, I would totally work with her. Either be hired by her or hire her. She's definitely somebody that I trust with everything. She is one of the smartest people. She is the real deal. She's so knowledgeable. And so passionate about the industry, and I worked really, really, really well with her, and I trusted her.
How'd you get the gig? Like, what'd you do? Because I think so. You had your shop, and if I'm not mistaken, hopefully I'm not mistaken. Didn't you have your shop where other females can go there and you'll teach them how to do stuff, right? Was it? Was it like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I taught a bunch of hands-on classes. Mm-hmm. I need to get into it again because it was really fun. Everything from like how to change a spare tire to how to build an engine, like engine building base. It was a weekend class. You can only teach so much. But I had a bunch of spare 7Ms that I've been collecting. Mm-hmm. And so I had 3 that were like set up on engine stands. Women would tear them down and build them back up over the course of a weekend. Super fun. And then also like taught Girl Scouts, all sorts of things. So it was actually when I first moved to San Antonio from Portland, Oregon, I had a hard time finding a job and I had a hard time making friends. And surprise, but I'm very introverted. But I went to every single Toyota dealership that was in an hour radius believe it or not a single one would hire me.
Oh, wow.
And I left with like, I had my certifications. I had a letter of recommendation from my service manager. I had the letter that my service manager had written to like help me get a scholarship to like take a couple classes at tech school. I came with like all this. And I wasn't asking for like a crazy, like I wasn't trying to be hired as like a master tech. Like I was applying for jobs that were open as like a line tech, like a basic line tech. I even applied for a job on Express. I was looking for anything when I moved here. And no one would hire me. So I ended up getting a job where I didn't work on customer vehicles at all. I worked at a place called Intertech Automotive Research that did oil and fuel and chemical testing for the government and for OEM manufacturers and stuff like that. It's like the competitor to Southwest Research. I don't know if you've heard of either of them, but very interesting. I learned a lot about oil, learned a lot about fuel. I actually ran a test that was what is it called? IVD, intake valve deposit test. So like if you go to Chevron, it's like Chevron with Techron cleans your valves. You know, it's got the before and it's got the after. Those are pictures from the test. So I actually did those. Yeah. And it was done with like a series of what were they? Little like Ford Ranger motors. And we'd run them for like 100 hours. We'd run them for like 150 hours. We'd run them with crappy fuel, and we'd run it with fuel with the additive. But it was a blind test. I never knew what manufacturer. Anyway. So I was not working on customer vehicles anymore, and I was starting to get to the point where I felt like my life had no meaning. So I started teaching classes to make friends in a new city. I had no idea what I was doing. I just wrote a random curriculum and like met at like a local taco shop and was like, let's drink margaritas and eat tacos and talk about cars. And all these ladies started coming, and I was like, this is amazing.
That's
and
awesome.
This is how my business started.
I love that.
The taco shop was like pretty sick too. And like, and I mean, some of the times we got a little rowdy. Like I don't drink anymore, but like we would have like margaritas, and we'd be like checking oil and like, slanging tools and like throwing air filters. And it was like, wow, all right, we all got to drive home at the end of this. It was super fun though. But like those ladies trusted me, and then they would like hire me to fix their cars. And I would do it like after hours. Like I would drive my little Volkswagen Rabbit to Intertech, do my job. Then I would load up my tools in the back of my little Volkswagen Rabbit, and I would drive to these ladies' houses and start like fixing their cars. And then also like fixing their cars with them. Like I would get hands-on with these ladies. And eventually I was making like better money doing that than I was at like my $16 an hour. That's right. That's the only job I could find in San Antonio. No one wanted me. $16 an hour job. But that's the job that I bought my house with. So of course I'm proud of my freaking house.
Of course.
Alrighty. I got my first
virtual
mortgage.
high five.
Oh, thank you. That's okay. That's why it is so small, and that is why it is so crappy, people, because I bought it with a $16 an hour salary. All right, don't judge. And I still live there. So anyway, so I was making better money, helping, doing like mobile mechanicking for these ladies, and there was no agreement. There was nothing formal. I'm just like, oh, sure, let's replace your alternator. I don't know, $100. You buy the part, we'll put it on, but I obviously wasn't like, I didn't know how to write receipts. I wasn't reporting this to the government, and that's how I started my business. I eventually got to the point where like I had so much work that I was like, it is a financially irresponsible decision to keep going to my job. Yeah. So I quit my job. And after I got the mortgage, and then I like went full time as a mobile mechanic. It was not planned. None of this was planned. Like I didn't have this like grand goal. Like I'm going to work for myself. That's a terrible idea. It just sort of happened, and it just sort of fell into my lap. I sort of flowed like water, and the path just sort of appeared. And that's
awesome.
I just like went with it. Yeah.
As if it was meant to be.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the same thing with like, with All Girls Garage. Like I wasn't planning. I'm like, I know I'm going to become a mechanic, so I will be famous on the internet and on TV. Like, no, that had nothing to do with it. Like, and in fact, I was like, when I first started, I was so embarrassed. Like I didn't want people to know that I was a girl. When I started, I didn't have a smartphone. I didn't, I didn't have any of that. And I sort of hid behind my employee ID. I was employee 529. And that's what I came up as. Like, if you looked me up, employee 529 changed your oil, and I did not want to meet my customers, at the independent shop that I worked at or at the dealership. I was very, very standoffish, very like hid in the back sort of thing. Cause I didn't want anyone to not trust me. And so I was not like into being on people's radar. It wasn't until actually like one of my former bosses asked me like to teach a class, paid me to teach a class, hands-on class to like female customers. Started doing that in 2013, and been doing that nonstop to the like from the request of my employers on the payroll. They paid me better to do that than like my flat rate hourly wage. So that's kind of how that started, and they sort of put me out there, you know, sort of advertised me. It's like, oh, you know, classes or whatever. That was super fun. And so it was like my boss at this independent shop that I worked at in Portland, Oregon. Atomic Auto, amazing job. Never would have quit if I didn't want to leave Portland. I'd still be there. And he sort of like pushed me. He's like, no, you should be proud of who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was like, you know, but I was like ashamed. Like I didn't, you know, I was afraid that people would not like me, or would not want me to be their mechanic if they saw me. Not like I didn't like look weird or anything like that. I mean, I did kind of still, but like,
I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, okay. I get it. But that's amazing.
Like it wasn't a plan. It was not a plan. I think I don't even really know. Oh no, I know. I had volunteered on Bogey's first SEMA build. Just like when I was still working at Intertech. Once again, I had no life purpose. I had no friends, and I had no money. So she also like she found like a sponsor, like someone to like sponsor me to like buy my plane ticket to get me out there. And then I slept on the bunk beds in the shop. I just didn't leave the shop, and I went out there and volunteered. Like my only vacation time, which most people would spend doing vacations. Yeah. I went and did more of what I did 9 to 5 for free, volunteering on the SEMA build. And I think I went out there like 7 or 8 times, and I worked really, really closely with Bogey. And I was scared to go out there at first because I'm just like I don't like I'm not that good. Like you know, I'm still learning. Like I have a lot to learn. Like I'm an average, but you know, there are so few females that she was like, hey, we need anyone, we'll take average.
Any females are fine.
Yeah, like we need somebody, because like it was a lot of newbies. Like I think over 90 women worked on that first build, and you know, it turned out I was actually okay. And it was like the first time that I went into a shop and Bogey saw me, and she didn't question me. She didn't ask about my qualifications. She didn't like watch over me. She was like, okay, well, I don't know. Some women fucked up those brakes. Will you fix them? And then I need you to build this differential. And then we've got to degree these cams. And I'm like, cool. And I just got to work. And yep, I fixed some fuck ups, built a rear end, and I degreed some cams. And that was over like the period, I think I volunteered for like about 7 or 8 weeks total that year. And that's how she got to know me. But at the time, I didn't even know she was on a show. I just like a bunch of people had like started reaching out to me that they had found me on Instagram and YouTube. And they just reached out, were like, hey, like we need skilled women for this project. Would you volunteer? And I'm like, of course, but I'm not that skilled. And turns out I was one of the most highly skilled women that went to work on that project. Wow. And Bogey ended up trusting me. And so when Rachel DeBarros left the show, Bogey recommended me, along with many other women. You know, I wasn't like the only pick. She recommended me and a bunch of other women that she had known from the build. And then, of course, this sucks to say, this is controversial. I'm sure I'm about to get a bunch of hate comments for you guys on this page, but I'm also one of the only women out there that is, you know, not only skilled, but also I dare you. Like, I challenge you. I will give you a Bitcoin if you can find a single picture of me online that's inappropriate, showing cleavage, showing, you know, midriff, showing anything that that a sponsor couldn't get behind. Yeah. And that unfortunately disqualified almost everybody, almost every like skill, you know. So that like I didn't make it on TV because I'm amazing. I made it on TV because I'm a decent mechanic. I'm a good mechanic. Okay? Am I the best? Fuck no. Am I good? Yeah, I'm good. I can work and talk at the same time. I can describe what I'm doing well. And, you know, I'm not a liability, right? I'm not, sponsors aren't going to run because I have an OnlyFans.
Yeah. Well, right? You also let your work speak for you rather than other attributions.
I'm sure I'd have a lot more followers right now. You know, it's not that I couldn't, people. It's not that I couldn't.
Yeah.
I look amazing in a bikini, but you'll never know.
Yeah,
You'll never know.
exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You let your work speak for you. Like, and I have seen the automotive women on TikTok, and I'm just like, people are only watching you for one reason. I was like,
I wouldn't feel good about that.
Yeah.
Like and I'm not out there trying to get a man. I got a man.
Yeah.
I'm out there
exactly.
trying to reach like younger me. I want to be the example that I wish that I had, that I could have shown my parents when I knew from a young age that I wanted to get into the trades.
Yeah.
I want to represent someone that's like, that's well educated, that takes the career and the job seriously, takes herself seriously, has self-respect. Hot topic. I know. Sorry, people. But then also loves it,
All comments are good comments. We're getting it'll push
engagement.
our video out there even more.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So how did it feel? Just you went from psychology to doing your little workshop with other females, and then now you get to meet Bogey, and then now you're on TV. How was that transition? Like, there's a lot of people when they get on TV, they just freak out. How did you do? Did you have to take a lot of takes the first time?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you saw like the first episode with me in it, I mean, I think first of all, I don't watch them. I don't read the comments. But I will say that I'm sure that I was awkward and stiff and weird. Cause it's weird. Like you're in it's like a big metal building, kind of like this. And there's like a bunch of lights on you and a bunch of people watching with cameras, and you got like a microphone and all this sort of stuff, and a makeup lady. It's like checking your makeup. I actually wasn't going to do it. I remember talking to my mom about it. Oh yeah. And I turned down Motor Mythbusters 5 fucking times. That's another story.
Wow.
But I even recorded myself a couple times, like just like kindly turning them down. Anyway, so I actually wasn't going to do it. I actually wasn't even going to do the audition because I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's kind of weird. It's kind of crazy. And I'm not like, I don't know. I didn't think I was cut out for it. And I was way more excited at the time. I was like getting ready. My parents were visiting San Antonio. They were coming to visit me, and I was getting ready to go to a junkyard to like check out my 4Runner. I was like all excited about this. All I could talk about was going to this junkyard. I'm going to buy this 4Runner. It's going to be amazing. Like, I'm so stoked. Like my first adult car, my first car with air conditioning. And that was 6 years ago. And my mom was like, but the audition, like she was so excited about it. I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to do it. Like I had the contracts and everything like that. I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to do it. And she was like, you know what? There's no harm in trying out. There's no harm in trying out, because then at least you can say you did it. And you won't like look back 5 years later with regret that you didn't at least try out. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to let Bogey down. I really looked up to Bogey. I was like, oh, she's this like amazing person. I was like, well, she recommended me. I don't want to let her down. So I went out there and I did the audition. And it's not that I didn't take it seriously, but I wasn't so in love with the idea of doing it. Like I wasn't like, my life goal is to be on TV. I was just like, okay, well, we'll see how I do. I was just, I wasn't really taking it like, I don't know. I wasn't making it an identity. So I kind of showed up and I was like very sort of nonchalant. I get there and there's like a bunch of other women. I think 5 other women. I can't remember. I think it was 5 other women. And we were at that shop, and a bunch of guys from like some of the behind the scenes guys and guys from the other shows were there. So like the guys from Carfix were there, and they were the ones that were like sort of watching the audition, like setting you up. And so they were asking everyone what their specialty was. And it's like, one girl was like, oh, I'm like, my specialty is welding. He's like, amazing. So he gets a welder, finds some stuff for it. He's like, what is your specialty? I was like, I don't know. I like engines. I like Toyotas. I work on Toyotas. Yeah.
I like turtles.
That kid is in Portland. That was.
I like turtles.
At the Portland waterfront. I like turtles, guy. Yeah.
All right, you're the one.
Yeah, you're amazing. I was like, I don't know. Like, he was like, we don't have any Toyotas here anywhere. I'm sorry. So I was like, oh, just give me any random engine, then I'll just teach one of my engine building basics. I'll just pretend I'm teaching an engine building basics class on it. So he gives me an engine, and I start like getting ready, And he goes to me, oh yeah, just do a DIY tutorial on how to install this timing chain. Now, keep in mind, most people grow up with like going to shop class and they build like a small block Chevy, right? It's like an American V8 is no mystery to y'all. I went straight from like this apprenticeship at a Volkswagen Audi shop to working at the Toyota dealership. So for me, camshafts live up above in the cylinder head. So this is my first time seeing a camshaft in the middle of a block. I'm like, shit. Oh, what do I do with this? And then also like it had some weird aftermarket like timing gears on it. And they had no marks. So I'm like, okay, I got to figure out real quick, where's TDC on this thing? Like, how do I install this timing chain? I have no fucking clue. I start grabbing tools. I'm up next. Someone else is already like doing their thing. They're fucking it up. They're doing a terrible job. They're like, she's tripping over her words. She's freaking out. She's like on the verge of tears. I feel bad for this girl, but she's almost done. And I'm like, I don't even have tools. I'm trying to turn this engine over. Thing does not turn over. I'm like, what is wrong with this engine? Is it seized? They're like, I don't know what's wrong with this engine. We can't help you out. I'm like, cool. I start like ripping the heads off. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but something's seized in there. I rip the heads off. This thing is so carboned up. Like the pistons will not move because it's got like this layer of carbon. I'm like, shit, I'm grabbing a razor blade. I start scraping off the carbon. I'm doing my best, trying not to damage the head gasket. I'm trying to put this thing back together. I'm trying to turn it over. Finally, like I turn it over once and it rotates freely. I'm like, thank God. They're like, you're up. I'm like, amazing. I'm like, how do you, I'm like, I don't even know what this motor is. I'm like, timing gears on an LS. I'm on YouTube, right? I'm like, LS timing gears. I look it up real quick. I'm like, sick. Find out which one's TDC because I just had the cylinder heads off. I grab a pen. I make my own timing marks. There are no timing marks on this thing. And I'm like, all right, so here's how you, I'm like laughing to myself. I'm like, I'm bombing this. Like, this is going to suck. I'm like, all right, here you go. Here's how you do it. All right, now we're going to pull this off. We're going to do this. All right, sick. Put everything together. All right, that's how it's done. I walk away. I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, I bombed it. You have no idea how bad this was. I was like, I give it my best, but like, I did not have good tools at my disposal. And they called me back a week later and said I was the unanimous pick. Like wow. Every single person that had watched was like, you are undoubtedly, like you are so far number one, so far ahead of anyone else. We didn't even have a number 2 pick. I was like,
wow.
Well, shit. But I didn't really want this. So then I had this contract and I was sitting on the contract and I didn't touch this contract for like well over a month. Cause I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this. I remember Bogey telling me, Faye, your life will never be the same. And at a certain point, I was thinking to myself, I'm a struggling business owner. I'm broke as shit. I just had this guy run off with, or I just had my welder stolen. This guy ran that was after I just started. I don't know. I was like not in a good financial place. Mm-hmm. And I was just worried that I wasn't going to make it. I was worried that I wasn't going to make it. And I'm like, well, maybe it's a good thing if my life will never be the same. And I remember like talking it over with my husband, talking it over with my mom. And I'm just like, well, it's not that much time out of my life. I don't think my life's going to change that much. So I went for it. So I accepted the gig. And at the time I thought the pay was like amazing. Looking back, you guys, the pay sucked. Like it's an insult. There are so many jobs where like if I had like added up the flat rate time, I would have gotten paid more for the job if I was working at the dealership. But anyway, that's aside from the point. It was fun. It was really fun. I really enjoyed working with Bogey and Christy. Both of them now are like 2 of my closest friends, and they both are like the real deal. They are both so skilled and both so smart, and they're both such like amazing people, which I think made it really good. If I had gone in and had an experience like or like work with bad people, I think things would have been totally different. But no, it was just like owning my business. Being on TV was a total mistake. It was nothing I planned for. It was nothing I wanted. I sort of like let it happen to me and I just sort of like flowed with it. And so people ask me all the time, like, hey, how do I get on TV? I don't know. Just do what you love and maybe someone will notice you.
And so did you get on? Well, I got to say this first before I go to the next question. Your mom is a badass. She's your number one cheerleader. Just the stuff that you're telling me, she sounds like an amazing amazing person. She is the way you're
I
explaining
feel that way.
Yeah, the way you're, and then we'll get to something else because you said your mom. We're not gonna talk too much about it, but she wrote a book, so we'll talk about that in
Oh
a
yeah,
little
no,
bit.
we can talk about
Yeah,
it.
that
I have
book
it
right
right
there.
here.
But I was gonna ask you. So did you get on YouTube first or All Girls Garage?
YouTube first.
YouTube
Yeah, so
first.
so so they had seen me before. Bogey had recommended me, and then they had watched my YouTube channel. Which at the time I had like, 5,000 subscribers. I was very proud, and my videos were like shot with like a really old Android phone, so it's not good quality. But at least they had some idea of what I looked like and my personality and describing working on things. So they were able to sort of like audit me that way. So yeah, it is something that it's the only thing that I know to say to people that ask me how to get on TV is like, put yourself out there, let people know that you exist. Start a YouTube channel. You never know.
It's just crazy. You managed so much. It was having your shop, being on a TV show, doing YouTube.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was way too much. It was way too much, and it brought the TV audience. It brought a level of attention. It brought a certain quality of attention that I wasn't expecting. And that's to say, it's like, no matter what, you put yourself out there, and you're gonna get attention, good or bad.
Yeah.
I wasn't used to it. I was not popular in high school. I was not like, I didn't do like performance or anything like that. I wasn't in band, so I wasn't really used to like sort of being made sort of center of attention. And now it's like, well, clearly, I did it to myself. I hear all the time, well, you made the choice. I did. I did. I'm owning it. I'm also saying, and I'm allowed to say, that I have made some poor choices. Going back and redoing it, I don't think I would do it this way. I would have still volunteered on the SEMA build. I forget. Oh, the Chevy montage. That's the name of it. I was at Bogey Shop Girl Gang Garage. I still would have done that. But there are some days, like honestly, like right now, where I'm thinking to myself, man, I would love to just be able to go back to the Toyota dealership. Especially now, it's like Master Tech, like starting pay for Master Techs at Toyota North Austin is $55 a flat rate hour. I'm like, that's not bad. I'll take that. Just so I can be able to like clock in, clock out, like work on cutting edge stuff. And I'm not afraid of the work, but I'm afraid of what the people would say to me. I'm afraid of like the people. I'm afraid of people because people are so mean on the internet.
Yeah,
and people like have all of these ideas of like what I'm like because I've been on TV. Like they, it's like even just at SEMA, I took classes at Apex. I was so excited. I took a class on like parasitic draw techniques. I took a class on like Toyota 5th generation hybrid. Every single time I walked into a class, people are like, why are you here? Don't you know all this stuff already?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do I have to carry the burden of knowing everything already just because I was on TV? Honestly, some of the dumbest people I've ever met have been on TV. Yeah. Okay. TV doesn't mean anything freaking special. It just means you were in the right place at the right time. You looked the part, you acted the part, you fit a certain role. I mean, for me, I'm a girl.
Yeah.
I like if there wasn't for All Girls Garage, no one would have ever picked me. Yeah. I'm not that highly. I mean, I don't mean to keep on putting myself down. I'm not the worst tech in the world. I actually think I'm a damn good technician. I am not the best, and I have a ton to learn still. And I learned a lot in parasitic draw testing techniques class. Okay, people, I learned a lot. I learned about tools I didn't know existed because I spend all of my time here alone in my own head. There's no one telling me, hey, Faye, check out this tool. And I'm not aside from posting stuff, I don't watch the internet. I don't watch television. I don't have other people around me like educating me. So I'm sort of like stuck in my own little bubble, little world, almost like afraid to leave because of how freaking nasty people are. And like this weight of expectation has been placed upon me that I feel like is a burden that I don't know how to shed. And maybe I shed it by just fucking trying.
Yeah. So you said you're more like an introvert, right? How do you, when you go to these events and all these people are coming after you and, you have all your fans and all that, How's that feel? It feels good, having people that appreciate you and all that. But how's it feel just going places and just being like people stuck on you?
Well, for one, I feel like I don't deserve it. I feel like it's misplaced. I feel like it's misplaced. The only time that I don't feel that way is if someone came up to me and said, "Hey, like your YouTube video about doing a timing belt on the Forerunner saved me $1,000, and it was really easy to follow, and I'm so grateful." Then that I can accept. Like, oh, I taught you a skill. Like I know my DIY tutorials. Like I have pride in those. Like I spend a lot of time and energy making them. I know that they're good, and I know I do them by the book. So I'm providing good information. That feels good. But most of the time, I feel like they're misplaced, and I'm like, oh, you're so lost. You don't know me. You know, like the character of me that's been presented in the way that the videos, that how TV is edited, that I have no control over. The photos that they copy and paste of me, and I don't know. It's I don't feel like I deserve it. And then also, it sucks the life out of me. And I don't mean that in like an ungrateful way, because I am so grateful. I mean, isn't that the most beautiful thing, just to be known and to be loved and to be appreciated, even though I don't think that those things are true for who I truly am, or the skill set that I truly have. I feel extremely grateful. But because I spend so little time around other people and I'm so introverted, it's like every single interaction I feel like just takes a little bit of the life force, to the point where by the end of the day I'm exhausted. I get incredibly sick. I come back from SEMA and I hide in the dark for like a week. And at the end of every single day, I normally can't talk. I have no energy. I get incredibly sick.
Yeah. I'm not in the same position as you, but I am very similar, and Oz is the complete opposite. But I'm an introvert. I'm a big time introvert. And so he's the one that like pushes me, like kind of like to get out of a little bit of my comfort zone. And, like the times that I've talked to you, usually if you look closely, he's the one behind me, like, go, go, go. And I'm just like, like I get really nervous, and I'm the same way. Like I'm actually a hairstylist. So my job is literally talking to people. So when I get home, I tell him like my brain just wants to shut down, and I don't want to talk. I don't want to socialize. I just want to escape in my own world. I want to mindlessly scroll on my phone or watch TV and just shut my brain down. Whereas him, he could like he lives for like the SEMA events. We go to a lot of automotive events throughout the year as well. And this man can be up from 8 in the morning and go to bed at 2 in the morning talking constantly. And I'm just like, I want to go take a nap. I'm going to be in the room. I'll catch up with you later. That's exactly him though. That's just,
wow. Yeah. I always wondered, I was like, how do people do it? And I think it's hard for an introvert to understand an extrovert, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because Bogey is very much an extrovert, so she can do a lot of that stuff. And for her, it's never really quite been so much of a burden. And I want to make sure that I'm saying that with also the total understanding of like the gratitude and appreciation. And I do, of course, I do enjoy those events. I'm not saying that like I hate them.
Yeah, no. I completely get it. Yeah,
it sucks me dry. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I'm sorry. One of the analogies that one of Oz's friends actually used, which is actually really good when I was thinking about it, because I related to it. He has a friend who's very much an introvert as well. And he told Oz, like, whenever, for me, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up like, let's just say like 10 coins. And throughout the day, every time I talk to a person, it takes a coin away. Like it's slowly, I'm giving a coin. And he's like, whereas you wake up in the morning trying to collect as many coins as you can. Like you wake up talking to everybody, collecting everyone's coins. And that's just, I was like, that's exactly how I am. Like I wake up with max 10 coins and that's it.
So I told my friend, I was like, so when you hang out with me, I literally take all your coins away. And he's like, yes, you do. You take every single coin and I am done.
So that's not how it is though. Cause sometimes you have those people that fill your cup. Yeah. Like some of my closest friends, like my little sister, it's like I could spend so much time around her, and she, she fills my cup. But then you do have to like events like that. It's part of the reason why I did the classes at Apex, was that I would have some quiet time to just sit and listen and refill my cup. And I had to be able to like have that balance. I couldn't just work all of SEMA at my booth. That was just, it would be too much. And also like, I want to make sure that I have energy and I'm present and I'm engaged, because the people that I meet are so amazing. And I learn so much from other people, and it does, like, you know, normally by the time I get home and I'm sort of processing everything, I'm sort of replaying these memories in my head of people that had nice things to say, or their anecdotal stories, or the cars that they're building. And it's a net positive. It's a net positive. It just sort of sucks you dry in the meantime. But
yeah, those events are crazy, 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 crazy. They are huge. They are, yeah. But I do want to talk about something important. You know, something that is important to you, and you brought it up, and I really want to bring that up. Please talk about your mom's book.
Oh,
yes, I really want to get to that. I know we alluded that for a second.
I'm so excited about this. So I know it's backwards, but the book is called Drive by Cynthia Copeland, and it's actually I did not know that she was writing this book. There was a while that she would like reach out to me and ask me like these really bizarre, obscure car questions about like weird cars that I don't work on. I'm like, Mom, like I work on Toyotas. Like, I don't know anything about a Jaguar. Like, why are you asking? Like, especially one from the 50s? I don't know, Mom. And then eventually I realized, like, you know, it wasn't until much later. She's a little superstitious, so she doesn't put things out there until they're like real. So this book is like years in the making. And it is a parallel story of Janet Guthrie coming up. First of all, I'm going to say it's also a graphic novel. It's a graphic novel. And my mom does all the, she does the storyline and also the illustrations. And my entire life, she's been an incredible role model to me, because she's been a really good example of like a very hard worker, like work-life balance. Like, she was technically a stay-at-home mom, but she had her office and she had times where she would just like dedicate to like working. So she definitely taught me how to like, you know, plan and schedule and just like, you know, put in the work. She's always modeled that behavior for me. But this is just all of her books. She has, well, not all, but most of her books she's written and illustrated, but she just barely got into graphic novels. She's only written a few. So, you know, one of my mentors tells me, Faye, you've got to reinvent yourself every 5 years. And that could not be more true of my mom. She's always like cutting edge. She's always trying new things. She's always pushing the limits with herself, awesome. Which just, I think is such an inspiration. But there's a character in this book that is very much like me, an automotive YouTuber that is in this book. But it's the story of a young girl that just is really into cars and just starting to build a project car. And her dad's sort of like not really taking her that seriously, and like thinks it's like, you know, it's cute, but like there's more important things she should be doing. And, you know, he's sort of focused on his own career. And it parallels her coming up story and the way people react to her and relate to her and her dreams and goals with Janet Guthrie's story of like, you know, coming up as a race car driver and the adversity that she's faced. And it's just really, really neat the way my mom tied the two stories together. And it's supposed to be a book for like, you know, obviously young adults, preteens. I think it's really good for adults too. It makes me cry every time I read it. And there's something we had talked about sort of earlier with like how mean people are on the internet. It's like there's a part where like the young girl Alex is watching her favorite female mechanic YouTuber, and my mom sort of hid some of the comments that I've gotten in there, and just, you know, the sort of as a story about like sort of the adversity that we all face in different ways. And you know, it's obviously not just for girls; it's for anybody. The main characters are both female, but it's historically accurate. And obviously there's some post editing that happens long after my mom and I the book leaves our hands, but to the best of my knowledge is mechanically accurate. And it's a really, really good inspirational book. I mean, obviously I love it because my mom wrote it, but I would love this book even if it wasn't my mom who wrote it, because it's like, it's kind of my story. And then she dedicated it to me, which is so cool.
I did see that.
I did not know this. I did not see
That's
this coming.
so
this was
amazing.
little me on my dad's tractor. I used to love sitting on my dad's tractor, and that's me on the set of All Girls Garage.
I did see that
And,
on your story. That was
that
super
just-
cute.
I wasn't ready for that. I got a little teary eyed.
So sweet. That's amazing. That's something like, I don't know. That's such a something you can hold with you forever. You know.
Oh man, I'm this book means everything to me. And then there's a page, and when you read the book, you'll know you can buy it on Amazon. I think it's like less than $15 on Amazon for pre-order.
Yeah.
It doesn't come out until January 7th. But when you read the book, because I hope you all will, it's even hard to look at this without embarrassing myself and crying in front of all you guys. Page 219. Whenever I read this, it's like it destroys me because I feel her story. Really good book.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to give that a read then. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm going to go ahead and I will drop the link down below, and we'll have people have that access for people in our comment section so people can access that as well.
Faye, you gave me chills and and a little small tear.
I got the big ones. Okay. But like Janet Guthrie is such a badass. I didn't even know her story. Like my mom, like this book was completely my mom's doing. Like, it's not just like, oh mom, I've got an idea, I've got a platform, write a fucking book. She had seen the struggles that I went through and tried to capture them in the character of Alex, with just like the relationship with her dad and like not really not really like taking her seriously, but then also like just how Janet just loved cars and loved racing, and she wasn't doing it to be a female racer. Like she wasn't doing it to get attention. Like she hated the attention. But she had to put herself out there to get sponsors, to get money, to build her cars. And finding sponsors was so difficult, and she was so good and so talented, but she had so much that she had to face again, that she had to like go up against, that she never asked for, and how much different would her life be if she was just born a different gender and someone like was able to just like take her seriously back then. And like, boo-hoo, woe is me. That's not to say that my life has been hard because, I'm a girl in this, because obviously, like I just said, it's not, right? I never would have been chosen for All Girls Garage if I wasn't a girl, right? I never would have been on TV if I wasn't born that way. I like how I'm wiping my tears with a dirty, brake fluid covered microfiber.
Hey, she wipes it, it's all dark.
Yeah, I know. And people wonder why my skin isn't perfect. That's why. Okay. Oh man. But it was just super moving.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it again. But I can't get through it without just and for those people that don't know who Janet Guthrie is, it's a great introduction to just to her story as well. It'll make you want to read every book about her and watch every documentary, because she was just such a beautiful, like humble, just like normal person who just had a passion and relentlessly pursued it. That's why it's called Drive, because it's like about that, she drove, but then it was also that inner drive that she followed, that she pursued and tried so hard not to let anyone get in her way, to the best of her ability. And, of course, we all know how her story sort of all rolled out. But if you don't, read the book.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh,
absolutely.
Really good
this
book.
podcast was so good. I told my wife, I was like, man, I want to keep on going. I can keep on going. Oh,
I got a project to finish.
No,
I have open brake fluid. I got to close some stuff up here.
No, and my wife
and then
right here.
I literally wrote a note. It's like, okay, we probably need to start ending it because we know she's working right now. So, but we do really appreciate you taking the time out of your day, even with all your busy schedule. We really do appreciate it.
Any grateful you asked. I'm so honored.
Yeah, no,
I'm so honored, so thank you.
Before we started even actually doing the podcast, you were always somebody that came up as a potential guest. You were definitely on the top. We have like a top 10 list, and you were definitely on there.
And she was way up there.
No, I'm just saying, out of the people we have talked about, like she was definitely on the list of people
she was
that
way
we
up
wanted.
there. Yeah, she was someone that really
Well, I
But
hope I
yes.
met your expectations. I was a
Yes,
little nervous.
absolutely.
A
No.
little
You
nervous
did.
with tech. I wasn't sure if I was.
You
gonna
did
be...
amazing. We really do appreciate it. And Oz, any last comments or anything? Or
No, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I had a lot more questions, but both of us, all of us, have a busy life, and we'll just finish it off for here. I think this was perfect. I got a tear out of it. I got some chills out of this.
I think it was perfect too.
Yeah, this was perfect. This perfect ending. You can't go any further after that. But man, thank you, Faye, for showing up and being part of this. Hopefully, it was fun for you. This didn't even feel like an hour and something minutes for me.
Yeah, not at all.
I sort of went into a time warp myself, but yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored that you wanted to have me on the podcast. I'm so cool. I'm episode number 8. Such a good number.
But there you go. And I'm gonna end off this video how I end off all the videos. Hopefully I don't mess up when I say this, but if you do like this video, don't forget to hit that notification bell and don't forget to put a big thumbs up. Damn, I messed it up again.
It's
But
all
there
right.
you go. Y'all take care. Y'all have a nice day. Goodbye.